Alright, what's going on, chain gang? How we doing tonight? Let's see if this slips out of my hand again. So, I need a keychain. Well, I made a keychain for work. My work car. I don't like it. So, I'm going to do something else. That's what I'm working on right now. This is a weave called Sandworm. There's a couple different worm weaves, like sandworm and fireworm, and I don't know if there's an earthworm and a windworm, but I'm sure there is. Weave names don't really have any meaning. Not really. I think we're at 11 here. And we go to 20, I think. Yeah, that sounds right. So, let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see here. So, for anyone who doesn't know, my name's Sean. I run mailworks.com. I design and sell chainmail themed apparel and accessories, and I make chainmail, and I make a lot of it, and I do cool stuff with it, like, okay, malware bites, go away, like cool chainmail cubes, right, all made of rings, all, you know, from top to bottom. And then I just finished this up today, right? I've been on a monkey paw kick for a bit. So I've got, this was my first one, right? Using up some old rings here. Okay, some brass and bronze and stainless steel. This was my second one. I added these chains here, these regular stainless ones, to tighten everything up, and it worked for the most part. I'm satisfied with it. I'm not going to do any more work on it. Thanks for sharing the live. Appreciate you. And then I finished, this was my third one. I used a weave called Elf Weave for this. I don't know why it's called Elf Weave. Like I said, names are kind of meaningless. Unless it's like European 4-in-1 or European 6-in-1 or something. And then I did Elf Weave again, right? Trying to use up some of these old stainless rings and blackened stainless rings that I have. And this one is snug as a bug in a rug. Right here, it's on there, right? This is probably, it's the most solid one I've made so far, so I'm pretty happy about that. It was like, if you look here, I don't know if you can tell. Let's see here. Let's try this. See that? See that movement? Right? That's fine. It's nothing to worry about. It's not going to come off or anything, but there's almost no movement on this one. This is in there. So, been using up rings making those. Now I gotta make a keychain for myself. I figured we'll do an easy project, one that you guys can kind of see me working on. The TikTok view does not what's the word? It doesn't allow you to really see what I'm doing. I have an overhead camera that's streaming to X, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook right now. And the problem is that my internet here does not want me to stream. Hopefully I will have a fiber upgrade here in the next couple of weeks. So, but then I would still need a TikTok stream key, so it's like, to give you an example, this is a very small project. Difficult to see from where you're standing, right? You can kind of see the pattern in that. It's called Hoodoo Hex, right? And if you're over here, you can pretty much see what I'm working on pretty good, but when you're over there, you can't see me working with these tiny rings. So I was just like, all right, screw it. We'll work on this later. I need to practice with that weave anyway. I had never made it before, and excuse me. All right, so that's 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Might as well count these out. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. That should give us the right number of rings for the length I want to make this before I connect the ends together and turn it into a circle and make a large chainmail ring out of it. You're like, why do you need such a large keychain for your keys? Because all I have is the key fob on there, and it has a tendency to slip out of my hands and down in between the car seat and the center console, and I want something to, so I can just, that'll stop it from falling down there in the first place. So today's been exciting. It's like, stop by here and take a break from all the election rigmarole. I know that's been going on a lot today. I'm ready for it to be over. It's like I've received trash cans full of political mailers, and I wouldn't vote for most of them, so they just go right in the trash. Even the ones I would vote for, it's like, no, don't waste your money sending me trash. Right? Ready for it to be done. Ready for society to return to normal. Let's get on with Thanksgiving and Christmas and get into 2025, which is shaping up to be a pretty good year for me. So, job's going well. I got a new job, if you didn't know. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. Got a new job. It's working out. I'm still precepting, so it'll be a while before I'm on my own. There's a lot of stuff I have to learn about their process and their charting. For those of you who don't know, I am an RN. And I do home health nursing right now. And I drive from house to house, taking care of people. The goal is to prevent them from going into the hospital. Excuse me. So it's like people who were in the hospital, they got discharged. They don't want them back in the hospital within a 60-day time frame. That's our goal. Keep people out of the hospital for 60 days. And it's people that went to the hospital and then went to like a rehab facility and then got sent home, right? They don't want those people back in the hospital for 60 days. Sometimes we do get direct from the community, like a doctor will write for home health to come in. It's not, I wouldn't call it rare, but you don't see it every day. Whereas people get discharged from the hospital every day and need home care. So, all right, so this sandworm weave is a composition of two weaves, right? The inner core is made from a weave called full Persian. Full Persian 6-in-1. There are 6 rings going through every ring, essentially. And there's half Persian 4-in-1 and half Persian 3-in-1 and like full Persian 8-in-1, which I think is also called Grizzly. Don't quote me on that. There's a lot of really weird names when it comes to different chainmail weaves. Oh, come on. There we go. And I'll give you a close-up here. For those who've never seen full Persian before, see that this is the inner core on my right hand here, and then the outer core is made from individual box units that don't actually connect to each other, right? So there's the inner core right there of full Persian. It's a cool weave. You can do a lot with it. There's the outer core made of individual units of a weave called box that don't actually connect to each other, which is kind of cool. So I bought these rings that I'm using for my 30-pound chainmail cube project, which I finished up earlier this year. And I have a lot left over. Like, my math was very, very off. Several pounds off. I don't know why. But I already have several competing ideas on what to do with the remainder of the rings. And the rings are 16. What size are these? Are these 3/8? I think they're 16 gauge 3/8. Oh my goodness. I'd have to go back and look. I believe they are 16 gauge 3/8 spring stainless. So it's very tough material to work with. And it looks like the supplier, the ring lord who I got them from, is going to be carrying them regularly. So I like them for that factor too. Especially since I have multiple competing ideas on what to do next with these. So, let's see here. Excuse me. Oh, oops. I screwed up. I need to connect these ends. But before I do that, excuse me. We're going to add the box units to the outside of this chain. So, okay, it's about, that's the full Persian core. That's the sandworm portion. And now we're going to make it all sandworm. And then connect the ends and put this key ring on it for my key fob so I don't lose it anymore. That's the fun thing about making chainmails. If you need something, you can just make it. Or if you're like an artsy, crafty person. You can just make whatever you need. Now, my artsy craftiness is solely in chainmail, pretty much. It's like I've dabbled in, I wouldn't even call what I did carpentry. I've dabbled in playing with wood more than a few times. But no, I have, you know, table saw and a skill saw and a jigsaw and a couple other saws, and so I built a 300 square foot deck on my house down in Texas, and I built a stand for my bearded dragons terrarium. This weekend I didn't really use any carpentry skills, but I did put the floorboards down and replace the stairs of my mother-in-law's deck. So it did require some cutting skill. We didn't even use wood to replace, like we tore up all the old wood and then we used composite for the rest of it. So It's like fake wood. It kind of counts, right? So I've dabbled in the whole carpentry thing. I'm not very good at it. I think that if I spent, going to a class, learning, like, okay, so the end of a tape measure wiggles, right? And there's a method that you use to make sure that that wiggle in the tape measure doesn't screw up your measurements, right? It's like, if you're measuring this desk from one end to the other and you hook the tape measure onto this side and bring it over, right? You have to make sure that you're hooking the end of the tape measure on the next board using the same tape measure to get the right measurement. Otherwise, it'll be off by a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. Which was something I didn't know when I first started doing carpentry. And there's a lot of, like, you watch people on TikTok or Facebook or wherever, and you pick up some tricks, but I'm a hands-on kind of person. So if I'm not doing it, like, right then and there as I'm watching it, kind of is useless to me. Same with, like, I like watching people do blacksmithing, and I watch them do that, and I'm like, that's cool, I could probably do that, but unless I have the tools to do it, it's like, whatever. So, one day, I will venture into other artsy craftsy things. All right, now we got to connect the ends of this, which is a pain, but it's possible. Come on. These spring steel rings will really test your grip strength, I tell you what. Oh, crap. Why did I do that? That was a dumb thing to do. Maybe I can sneak this on. Hang on. I need this key ring on here. That's the whole point of this. Hey, look at that. Boom. I didn't screw up too bad. All right, what's going on with my music? I swear. It's like, sometimes it wants to work, and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the times, my music doesn't want to work, which is annoying because I pay for it. Oh, God. Okay, so these spring steel rings are difficult to open, difficult to close, but they are much, like, once you've opened them and then set them where you want them, they are much more difficult to open back up. It's crazy how difficult it is. Which is good because, you don't want them to open back up. So, I was thinking, like, I made all these monkey paws, right? Like, they're cool and whatever. And it's just something silly I made. Wow, that ring does not go there. Okay. I don't expect to sell them or anything, but they're kind of cool. They're like cool paperweights, right? Come on. Ow, that hurt. Plier slips are dangerous, he says, as he did it twice. So try to avoid those if you can. Trying to get a better grip on this. Okay. How's that? Better? That's better. Okay, now to add the box weave, which means I gotta weave rings through this little section here. It's quite a pain. What was I saying? I was saying something. I don't remember. I lost my train of thought when I jabbed myself with my pliers. Oh yeah, okay. Monkey paws. It's like they used up rings and they're now something cool, right? Glad I made them. What do I do with them? Like, they could go into my collection with everything else. The reason, okay, if I were I'm asking this from the position of if I were a vendor, right? Like, I would not have spent time making monkey paws. They're cool, but I have like 4 of them now, and I'm probably going to make a bunch more. Ugh. I don't know. Like, I understand making hacky sacks for sale if you're vending at a show, you know. Juggling balls, yeah, okay. Maybe I could, maybe if I did one more, right? Like, I've got some black and stainless ones here. This one, like I said, is a little loose, but you could, it's still, you know, it is millimeters away from being the same size, right? If I made one more, I don't think that chainmail covered glass marbles would make great juggling balls, but I don't juggle, so I don't know. It's like, and I say, like, I would make 3 as a set, right? I don't know any jugglers either that I could be like, yo, test these out for me. Do these make adequate juggling material? So, I don't know. I'll just keep them as decorations, I guess. I've got one more glass marble to wrap, right? Like, I have 5 total. There's a glass marble in each of these, and then this one. So I've got one more to use up. And then I have, how many do I have? I have 18 of these 1-inch ball bearings to do something with. I don't know what. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. So, okay, and then like this time next year, here's my goal. Okay, got a lot of projects to finish between now and next year. Next year, by this time next year, I want to be finished with all this old stuff and moved on to bigger and better things, newer stuff. So by this time next year, I want to be making Christmas ornaments specifically. So I have some old Christmas ornaments that I bought probably 20 years ago, and I've only wrapped one, and it's almost too heavy to hang from the Christmas tree. So clearly, you know, needs a design check, right? Excuse me. It's like if you make someone a Christmas ornament, you want to make it so that they can hang it on their Christmas tree. I would think that is what you would want to do. You know what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe you hate Christmas. I don't know. But yeah, next year, making Christmas ornaments this time of year. Probably won't be. I will probably be wrapped up in some godforsaken multi-thousand ring project that I got a wild hair at my backside to do. So that's probably what's going to happen. If I know myself, that's what's going to happen, right? Which is also fine. I've got a lot of multi-thousand ring projects that I want to work on, so. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Do I need to put the Band-Aid on for safety? When I was working on the 30-pound cube with these rings, I gouged this knuckle horrendously, right? Kind of similar to what I did there. That's not quite as deep as this knuckle was. Or this, no, actually it was my middle knuckle, wasn't it? Because I can still see the scar. And it's all from trying to close up these little, right? Trying to close that up. Excuse me. And once you get to the outside rings right here, that is danger territory. Excuse me. What have I got? I've got 2 coils here, as well as I don't know, 100 other projects to work on. That should keep me busy throughout the year. I'd like to be done sooner rather than later, but the reality is that since I've started working, I can no longer do the 10 to 12 hour days of weaving that I was doing prior to this. So I come on here in my evening time and get a little work done. It's like, even at a couple hours a night of weaving rings, like, projects eventually get done. I think these 2 took me several days. This is like, I should be able to do both of these in a single day, right? Give or take a couple hours, right? These took me, I think, over a week each, because I've been working. I can only work on them for a couple hours a night. So, and you know, in exchange, the job pays me, so it works out. That money's going to go to more cooler chainmail tools and supplies and all that good stuff. So it's a good thing that I'm working. It just sucks right now. Alright, that's not going to happen. Let's try that again. I want, what do I want? I don't know, I guess I'll stick with these. One of these rings is stuck. There. Okay. Almost done. 3 more rings. These are the ones that are dangerous, that, like, the angle's wrong, I can't get a good grip on the ring, and the pliers have a tendency to slip. So you just do the best you can. Whoa. Alright, so I am up and moving about. Much better than I was 2 days ago or even yesterday. I was hurting yesterday, I tell you what. I'm not at an age where I can just like jump up and go replace the floorboards in someone's deck like I did over the weekend. Monday, my whole lower body was just burning. Really? Do we have to do that? There it is. It's closed. That's all we need. So I am able to get up the stairs without like breaking down and crying. It was bad there for you know, Sunday when I was still working on the deck, and then all of Monday I was just hurting. Alright, last ring, and then this. Can go on my keychain for my work car, which is upstairs, but. And hopefully I won't lose it in between my center console and my car seat anymore. Come on. Sorry for blocking the view. I just want to get this ring in. Now, which ring was it? Oh, it's still there. I can still see it. It's still very open. Hard to miss. I'm gonna try something here. I don't like using Zerons on material this difficult to work with, but they do have smaller noses. There we go. Voila, it is done. One ridiculously large keychain. Now, like, I wouldn't make this to sell at a, what do you call it? An event of some kind, right? That seems silly. It's a ridiculously large keychain. I might sell it as something else. I don't know. Put a hook on it and call it a Christmas ornament. All right, let's put these rings away. I want to work on something much easier to work on, because that was not fun. You really, when I did the 30-pound cube with these rings, it took like 2 weeks of me consistently working with those rings to get like the hand strength up. And since I haven't worked with them in, I don't know, a couple months now, like my hands are just not feeling it right now. But yeah, this is, to give you an example of how bad my math was when I did that cube, this is a, how many? This holds 2.2 pounds of coffee creamer. This weighs much more than 2.2 pounds in metal rings, right? But it's a big container full of rings. So my math was way off. But that's okay. Let's get this out of the way. Put that somewhere. Just settle for this right now. I don't feel like getting adventurous on trying to come up with something to make from these rings over here. I need like a good Saturday where I've had all day to screw with them. This is my coif. Ooh, that is cold. And it needs some work. I need to take some material out of the back here, right? But I need to expand the, yeah, I need to remove a whole triangle out of the top. And then the way this was never intended to be this way. I need to make this a little wider to go around my eyes. So, I don't know, I guess we'll get to work. I don't need these pliers anymore. Alright, so let's begin by tearing it down. And yeah, if you see two different colors on here, this is two different colors of rings. I have tumbled this to polish it up, and nothing has worked so far. So, all right, there's the end. Is it here and here? No. All right, there is where I ended it last time. You can see there's an additional row of rings right here. Oh, I just started it. Okay. How to proceed. I want to take a whole section out. Just because there's so much material back here. So we'll take it out and then we'll close it back up. But yeah, this two different color tone thing, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it happened. I've tumbled the crap out of it, and this gray stuff won't get any grayer. So I don't know if I got a different material or what. But you know, you can clearly see the line here where it's two different colors. And it sucks, but it is what it is. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to start ripping this thing apart. Was that the wrong ring that I grabbed there? No, I can't tell. Hang on, it should be this row of rings right here. Alright, okay. We'll worry about it later. And it's not like I can take this whole thing apart and then mix the rings all up and put them back together to make it more blended. So I'm just stuck with this line. But it is what it is. Now, I have made one coif before, and it worked out, but it wasn't great. And I don't, I'm not making this to fight in or anything. It's just something to say that I have made one. I've made several shirts, and they're all displayed on T-posts that I made. It looks really nice. It looks much better than having them lay on the floor. And the tops of the T-posts are empty, so I was like, all right, let's make some coifs to match the shirts or to go along with the shirts. And it's really fun when people come over and they try the shirts on and they see how heavy they are, and then we take pictures and laugh at them. And then we put them on someone else, and then they get laughed at. It's fun. So have a chainmail shirt in your house just to, hang out with your friends and try on to see who struggles the most with putting on and taking off a absurdly heavy chainmail shirt. Right? You should also have a coif. The coif makes it more fun. I've also heard it pronounced coif. Only by 2 people in the world. Because a coif, a regular material coif, not one made of metal, one made of cloth. They used to wear those all the time in the medieval era to prevent the spread of head lice. Right? So, and I suppose that the term for the cloth cap was just extended to the one made from chainmail. I don't know. I didn't study language of that era. I'm not a historian, so, don't quote me on anything I say. This is my limited understanding in having done this for 28 years of, how things came about, and, I'm just guessing about that statement. So, at the end of this, we should be able to remove a section and then just reconnect the ends back together. What time is it? 8:47? We're doing pretty good on time. I don't know how much we'll get done tonight. Probably mostly just tearing this apart, which is fine. It kind of sucks because we'll have to reweave it. That's okay. I've done that plenty of times with projects. I don't like doing it. It's not my favorite thing, but usually it works out for the better if I redo something. I have friends who are, adamant about just ordering new rings or just making new rings for whatever they want to make. And I'm not going to do that in this scenario because I don't have money for rings right now. Maybe one day. It's I'm just trying to get through Christmas. So, And this, the reason why, okay, so I noticed the difference in the color of the rings very early on, right? And you're like, why did you continue with it? Because this was like the third attempt at trying to make this coif, okay? And I was just frustrated, and I said, screw it, let's go. And Sarah, how you doing? What's going on with you? So, and like I said, I've tumbled it, you know, as much as I can, and I still can't get any color change to it. So I was like, screw it. Just proceed with it as is, and I don't know, maybe the rest of the material will darken, or what we could do is try and darken it ourselves. You're making another hoodoo web ball, right on. I pulled that project out tonight, and I looked at it, and I thought about working on it, but it's one of those that I'm probably going to have to do off stream or off camera, because it's too small to see from TikTok, and like I don't have my internet up for the rest of my streaming services. Look, I'm still on my old router, and I need to get that updated, and I will as soon as they offer fiber in my area, which I'm told is soon. So I was just, screw that project for right now. I've got plenty of other stuff laying around that needs work. You know? Okay, so that's the last of that. In theory, okay? See where these two cuts are that I made, right? The theory that I tried to do is that if I went up each of these rows of rings, I would meet where the seams of this triangle up here are, right? But that cannot be trusted. So I'm going to start here with the queen ring in the middle. Let me hold that up. For those of you, the top of a coif has a big ring in it that all the smaller rings are attached to, and that's called the queen ring, right? It's that big ring in the center there. Okay? So I'm going to start there, work my way down, and then we'll finish cutting those sides. If I can figure out where I'm working. This should be like the direct back of, yeah. And that's a lot of material to remove. But like it's too big. Like there's plenty. I can remove that and it will fit much better on my head. So let's do it. Make sure I don't take other stuff out with it. Okay, this should be these three rings here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So, if we can rip this out and then connect the two sides, I'll be impressed with myself. And then hopefully it'll fit better. And then we'll size it more to my head and make it better, make it something better to look at. And we'll add cool decorations to it, like trim. I don't know what else I could do with this coif. I wanted it to be a simple, just a simple coif. I didn't want to embellish it too much, and I don't know what I would embellish it with at this point, right? Let's see here. What ring size do I have that would go with this? So this is like 18 gauge, 7/32. And you can combine, you can edge this with different things like interwoven 4-in-1 or elf weave, and these are just different weaves, right? You can use GSG or half Persian 3-in-1. It's fairly, those are fairly standard. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. We might tear this apart some more. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The problem with when you add an edge to something, so if I were to add an elf weave edge to this, right, all around the outside, okay, the elf weave would bring the European 4-in-1 in closer, right? It wouldn't let it sit like that. And it wouldn't let it expand and contract the way I needed to, unless I made it from larger rings, right? So that's an option. Do I have larger rings to do that with? That is a good question. I don't know. But if we do that, then we'll have to rip it apart some more, but you know what? It'd be worth it. You know, the end goal is just to have something that looks like a coif that looks cool. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. So, yeah, screw it. We'll rip it apart and we'll make it cool. Do I have the right ring size to do that? I have, maybe. So the trick is to use rings I have on hand. How did this go? Okay, so I had a bunch of rings on hand that I had started making a coif with. And I ordered some more in the same size, but they were new TRL rings, and the newer TRL rings from about a decade ago are a little bit smaller. They're more true to size than the 2-decade-old rings that I had on hand. I was like, all right, let me get rid of these 2-decade-old rings. So I ordered some more, and turns out that they're not the same size. So I ended up making a dice bag out of the old TRL rings and ordering more of the new ones, which for some reason didn't match in color, right? So the goal was to use up old rings, and now I ordered enough rings to make a coif and then some more. So that goal didn't work out, obviously, but we can tear it apart and add some seams into it and some decorative trim. I just got to have the right ring size on hand. I don't know what that ring size would be. It might be 16 gauge 1/4 inch, which, you know, I have some, I don't know how much, but I have some 16 gauge 1/4 inch black and stainless, right? And most of that is going to the motorcycle project, but I've got a bunch of it still, so I'm not worried about using it up anytime soon. You ever go back and check your work and you're looking at it and you're like, what was I thinking when I closed that ring? That was very off. Ring closures are important, okay? Because a ring closure that's not adequately closed will scratch you, and it's not fun. So, and it's difficult to tumble large pieces like this. This could probably fit in my tumbler, but I have a pretty large tumbler. Most tumblers from, like, say, Harbor Freight or something aren't going to be able to handle even this piece, right? Much less, like, they're just too small to do large pieces. And the motor can't handle it. Mine probably could do this one. But I want to get a concrete mixer, and we'll throw the shirts that I have made in there and tumble them up and try and make them look real nice. Okay, we're going to separate these by color because it would be weird if we mixed them now. I'm going to examine this very closely because if I did it right, these two areas should line up, right? If I did it right. Just got to find the right place to take them apart at. Okay. They line up pretty well. Might have to do a little bit of adjusting, but... And we're just going to pull this whole section out. So I did start with 6 triangles going around the top of my head, and I'm reducing it to 5. I don't think there's any historical precedence for using triangles and 45-degree seams in coifs. The way they did their adjustments for people's shapes back in the day was through contractures, like by either adding or removing a ring. You'd add a ring to make it wider and remove a ring to make it narrower, kind of thing. As far as I know, 45-degree seams were not invented until the end of last century, the 90s, the 1990s. So from like 1970 to now, so the last 50 years has been the whole renaissance of chainmail. Like, initially weaving it how it was traditionally made, but using butted rings and coming up with different weaves. And there was just this explosion in the last 50 years of the number of different weaves you can make with chainmail, the number of different materials you can use, and now it's more prolific than ever, and it's still a niche hobby. It's like if you go to any crochet group or knitting group, right, you'll find that they have millions of people in their group. And the largest chainmail group, I might have just surpassed 20,000. So, all right, we've got, I can zoom this out actually, make the workspace more visible. Almost got our section removed. What time is it? Oh, 9:04. We might get it removed and get it all sewn back up. Let's see what we can do here. It's very difficult to follow a line. Like, very difficult. Why am I not? Now, if I did this correctly, right, all of the angles that were woven into this should still exist, and I should be able to basically sew it right back up. Should being the operative word here. We'll see how we'll see how that goes. Now, if we can get this to a point where it's like comfortable on my head and then also can be worked on tonight, that'd be awesome. It's like I did not order a whole lot more rings to expand the bishop's mantle on this. That's a bishop's mantle is an actual individual piece of armor, but if you take a coif, which is like just your head and neck covering, and you cover your shoulders too, it's commonly referred to as a bishop's mantle, a coif with a bishop's mantle in the modern day chainmail community. And I don't know if that's, you know, technically correct based off of some kind of historical piece of armor or not, but I do know that that's what it's referred to as. So I'm going to stick with that until I learn more. That is a goal of mine, learning more about chainmail and medieval armor in general. It's like I know there are people who are like really specialized and they like all they do is make really high-end gauntlets for your hands, right? And or they make really high-end breastplates. Right. I'm more of a generalist. I want to I would like to be able to make all of it, which I think is cool, but all right, our piece has been removed. So this is a lot of material that I took off. What's going to happen is we'll sew this back up and we will try to add this to the bottom. So let's do that right now. And like I said, if it worked right, it'll go really smoothly. But if you know me, you know the likelihood of something working right on the first try is slim to none, you know what I mean? Alright, let's try and stay in the camera angle. I am just sewing up a 45-degree seam here. All right. And you know, even on the overhead camera, if you weren't, I'll just try and show you what I'm like. I'm connecting this hole closed, right? So if you can see the top there where I'm working, that's where I'm closing it up, and you know, difficult to tell what exactly I'm doing. And just a simple European 4-in-1 45-degree seam. It's not hard to do. It's very useful in different scenarios. I'm going to put this on. It's going to be too tight. That's fine. We'll figure it out. I don't think it will be. I think it'll fit much nicer now. Not have too much extra material in there like I had before. All right. Anyone has anyone ever made chainmail before besides Sarah? I don't know if Sarah's still hanging out, but is this your first time being exposed to someone making this stuff? So that's how I got started. My uncle was hanging out. I was hanging out with him. It's like I got two cool uncles. One's a Lego uncle and one's a guitar uncle. And one showed me how to play guitar. That was the Lego uncle. And the other one showed me how to play Legos. No, I'm just kidding. The guitar uncle taught me how to play guitar. I'm not that good, but, you know, I try. And my Lego uncle just had a lot of Legos, but he was making chainmail in front of me one day, and he's a very creative guy. And he pulled out this sheet of chainmail that he was making, and I said, "That's awesome. I want to do that." And I ended up doing it for the rest of my life. I was like 14 at the time. But it's not hard to get started. It's a fun hobby to keep your hands busy while you're, I don't know, chatting with other people or watching a movie, listening to an audiobook or a podcast or something. like chainmail and leatherwork and carpentry and blacksmithing. It's like I'm decent at chainmail. Okay? I'm by no means like the best or anything. I know plenty of people who are much better at it than I am. But I'm okay. You know, I can get by. But my carpentry and my leatherworking, and I've never done blacksmithing or anything, but I want to. It's like, I need to improve on all of that. So, it's like, I use a lot of leather as accents to the chainmail stuff that I do, which I was terrible at, and I've gotten much better. But I would like to do better, even cooler stuff with leather. So, and incorporate chainmail into it. And same with carpentry, and same with blacksmithing, and all that fun stuff. Okay. It was like the last seam ring. I think. Does it go easily into... No, it doesn't go easily. Okay, I'm gonna have to lay this down and figure it out, because okay. I need to remove these rings right here, or I suppose these rings on the edge here. I need to remove one row. They're in each other's way. Like, they want to connect right here. Okay. So I was close to having done it correctly. I'm going to remove this one as a marker of where to end. Because this is where I remove this ring here. This is where the 45 seam begins, and we should be able to connect these two rows here. Should, being the operative word. Now, I have heard some people say that seams are not a good thing to use, and you should use the contraction expansion method developed by medieval blacksmith chainmail makers, right? Because seams carry a lot of the weight, more so than... They carry more weight than other rings. I don't know if that makes sense. There's still, in a 45-degree seam, there's still only 4 rings going through each ring, right? So, I've heard it. I don't know if it's true, right? It probably is, and I'm just, stubborn and don't want to learn how to do good expansions and contractions. Okay. It's working, you guys. Now, if I had used the expansion contraction method to begin with, I probably wouldn't have had this much excess material to remove, right? But also, it would not have gone this quickly addressing the excess material issue. Probably would have been a job for a number of days as opposed to, I don't know, what, an hour? All right, let's see here. At some point, we got to stop weaving this regular European 4-in-1 back up. Oh, we've got a ways. And then we'll start closing out that 45-degree seam. It's like, so depending on how you apply the seam, you can expand or contract what you're working on. Like all the triangles surrounding the cap or the head of this coif contract they make it into a contracting circle. Uh-oh. Whereas all the, like, around the bottom edge of the coif, all the 45-degree seams expand everything out so that it goes out across your shoulders and sits nicely, distributes the weight. Come on. All right, now how close are we now So what I'll do is we'll get this, all put together. We'll use up all these rings, and then I will find a ring size that I can like trim everything in, and we'll add that to the edge. See how that pans out. Okay. Oh, that looks almost spot on. Okay. Nope, that must not have been how I did that. Let's do a test fit. So the front should be right in front of me. Oh. Aside from, like, it not going around my face, like, I need to take some of this stuff off. Let's see here. I can feel the difference in the material loss, so that's nice. What do you think? Better? It's like we pulled a ton of material off there. Now what to do about this? It's very jowly, right? Should we bring it in? I don't know how you do that. I'd have to figure that out. Like I said, I don't know anything about making coifs. I'm just making one to add to my shirt collection so that I have a coif to go along with shirts for drunk people to try on when they come over.